Welcome to the episode everybody was not really sure would happen. It's Thursday night. It's time to play Forbidden Lands. We had episode 19, which could have been the end of the story. It turns out it was not the end of the story. Where we left our four characters was them heading north. And they're about a quarter to just shy of a half a mile from the Hollows, a place where they left in a bit of a hurry about roughly about 2 weeks ago. And now they're headed back that way. So it's about 6-7 o'clock at night. You guys have gotten your first view of the Hollows. You can see the broken wall that surrounds it, that anybody can just walk over like you did in episode 2. But the sun is getting close to the horizon. So far, Nervia has not been very talkative, though she's answered questions as she went. And I've got the 5 of you kind of standing overlooking the Hollows.
So are we sleeping in real beds tonight, boys?
Suppose. I don't imagine they'll chase us out with rocks. And certainly, I imagine Nervy here is going to want to get back to her house.
If we want to go to town, we should try to get there before dark.
Remind me, Craig, was there a way that we knew about crossing the river? Was there just like a little ferry thing going on? Did we wade?
So the way it's built, roughly about a fifth of the town is actually south of the river.
Oh, okay.
So that's where Yawin's was, and you remember the couple whose son had the map,
Right.
They all lived just south of the river. So the river cuts through the very bottom of the hollow. So there's no river between you and the main southern gate.
Okay. Well, then suppose we should go ahead.
So Nervia, who's been very quiet, kind of turns and she says, I don't know what we're going to walk into. With Miss Palmer dead, it's hard to know what's happening. And unfortunately, and she kind of motions towards you, Sten, I also fear you could still spread disease. So we should either sleep here or...
Well, at least I should, it sounds like.
Well,
Wait, have you been lying to me, old man? Are you still sick?
I feel fine.
Aldrich, you've got second sight or 23rd eye or some such. You can see whatever that got released by those vomit birds, right? Does he still have it?
I have not had any kind of extra sense on this particular ailment that we had. Regardless, I would also agree with camping outside of town. Going in at the evening is probably not the wisest choice, given there's not bells along the wall.
Yeah, and if we don't know what the situation is like, might be better to come at it well
Go
rested.
in the morning.
I don't mean to be rude either, but how did Ms. Palmer die?
When I left, it was the night after they found her body. They had found her body in the morning. And I was asked to come look because of my familiarity. And there was no doubt she was murdered. I left that evening. So I don't know.
How long ago was this?
This would have been 4 nights ago, 5 nights ago. I went south to go see my sisters at Millstone.
Murdered how? Murdered blade? Murdered.
Her throat had been slashed open by a blade,
Oh my.
and she was left unrespectfully on the floor of her main room.
Were there any suspects at the time you left?
When I left, it was chaos. I know that Ulm was very concerned. Ulm was working to try to get together. We have no garrisons. We have no police. Miss Palmer was the law. And I know Ulm was trying to get together, an investigation. There was whispers of Yawim, but I don't know if he's capable of that.
What about Starkus, right? Doesn't he stick his nose in everything?
He was not seen.
And he had been, it looked like, pretty close to her the last time.
They were very close. I think that they had a very good relationship, and quite frankly, a good relationship for the Hollows. Though he by no means was Brother Sturkis somebody that I liked nor respected. Blasphemous, if pressed. He was better than any that had preceded him.
Yeah.
And he kept to himself, and he found peace with Miss Palmer.
Looking back, he is the least confrontational Rust brother we came across.
It's true.
If only because we were, several feet from him at the time.
I'm gonna look back at the village. Is there any sign of like additional wear, like fires or any kind of like barricades that I can see? I don't know how far we are if I can see.
It's a bit. I'll need a roll. So take a look on your sheet. And what do you think fits?
So I think maybe wits, scouting, lore, survival, insight. I'm gonna guess scouting is probably the
Scouting,
right
I think, is
call.
perfect. Yeah. So give me a scouting roll, and you'll get something even on a failure. But if you get a couple successes, I can give you more. And by a couple successes, I mean 2. So
Weird.
So we see Vasilla kind of take off north, and
I'll be right back.
as you get closer, all you have is to compare it to what was before. And you note a few things. One is something that I mentioned before, but I'm going to give you some more details on, is the river that runs east-west runs through the very bottom half of the hollows. And if you remember, there's a bridge that crosses the hollows. That's when you first saw the old ghost that likes to go to Three Skull Tavern and have a drink.
Yeah.
He crossed that bridge is when you first saw him. And there were docks. And when you left the hollows, Yaman talked much about building a fleet,
Fresh
starting
boats
trade,
and-
selling his beer. So you see for the first time 4 boats. And now that you're a little bit closer, you saw them at the end of the last episode. They are flatbed boats. So these aren't passenger boats. These are barges built for a specific reason. You also see more people around. So when the last time you were there, the streets were never busy. People kept to themselves. And though you can't tell what everybody's doing, you see a lot of heads, a lot of people moving in the streets. The other thing you noticed was something that was not present when you came before, which is it appears there's 2 people at the south gate. And where they are makes them look like they might be guarding it. Which in its own way is silly because anybody can just step over the wall. They don't have to go through that south gate. So things have changed.
Cool. Archie, back to the group. So, I'm not saying that this is an upgrade, but it looks like I'm gonna have a good audience next time I play the inn.
Bigger crowds, huh?
Yeah, people out and about. There's a couple of boats, like those flat ones. I don't know if you remember the tale of Janan and his river otters, but he had these flat boats that he transported all these acorns on across to the other little squirrel's
Oh yeah, and
town.
there was a goat and a wolf, and the barge was only big enough for two of them at a time.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
had like an E flat, A flat, G, and it like really catchy melody.
I thought there was
The
a
chorus was
scorpion
not that
involved
great.
at some point.
Yeah,
Was it
that
a
one.
frog or was it a toad?
I sing it. I sing it every couple days.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like that. There were boats like that.
Huh. Well, I remember Alwyn was going to try and do some of that. I also seem to remember that Miss Palmer wasn't real keen on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, well,
So it looks like he's
Seems
seized an opportunity, if not made one.
A lot of
Miss
activity
Palmer
per
makes you look
week.
cheery, so it's fine. Also, oh, I forgot. There's two bored, sleepy people looking like they're hanging out by the gate, which is silly because there's no wall.
What, you mean like guards or just, going out there to smoke?
Well, I don't have your old man eyes. Like I can't see
Yeah, so I'd
quite
expect
as
you to see
well.
things.
Yeah, well, I'm not used to squinting off in the distance, acting like I'm thinking like you. So
It's not an act in my case. They didn't look like Rust Brothers, did they?
I mean, I couldn't see a chain around their neck or giant demon monsters.
well, no giant demon monsters is a good thing.
That's a plus.
You do know, by the way, that Rust Brothers are giant demon monsters, right, sister?
At least some of them.
So Nervia turns to you and she goes, their seed is corrupt from the beginning.
Okay,
They,
sure.
they don't understand the raven. They blaspheme against the raven. So no, it would not surprise me if they're in leagues with the demons that scourge this land.
And in all lack of jovialness, joviality, they really are. Like we've unfortunately seen their handiwork.
Not
Frankly, I didn't trust the raven that was flying around because
Giving us a bad taste.
your cautiousness is well kept. So are the four of you staying here
I
in the
can't let
wilds
him take
tonight?
care of himself.
I think it's probably best. If you think I might be still carrying this, I shouldn't go in town.
Would you be willing to give a note to the not a dwarf?
Yeah, I think I'm going to head down, and if for any reason I'm concerned, I obviously will come back either tonight or in the morning. But yes, I'd be happy to. If is there a note you'd like me to pass to Yawa or a message?
Or if you want to go into town, there's no reason you need to hang out here. If you'd rather go make some money at the inn, tavern.
Tell you what, I'll write something out real quick. And Aldrich pulls out a small piece of paper from his backpack and just writes a small note. Basically just says, your 4 friends from Oakenheart have returned. And hands it to her. Just pass that on to Yawen for us. That should let him know we're here.
Three Skulls is on the way.
Perfect.
And Sten, she kind of brings you to the side, keeping a distance, putting her mask back on as she gets closer to you.
Mhm.
And she says, sleep well tonight.
I
And-
certainly plan to try.
You'll know in the morning if it's past. You don't need me to tell you. You'll know.
Any other recommendations other than resting and keeping it clean, I guess?
No, know, and if I don't see you between now and then, and you head in to town, you can ask anybody where my home is. I'd be happy to feed you when you get here. And there's always been factions at play in the Hollows. And it seems like some of the tensions that have built over time may have resolved, but could have easily turned into new ones. So just be careful. Be careful, and I don't know what side is just or not. So not taking sides may be my other piece of advice.
Yeah, I try not to do that where I can help it.
And as we get kind of a little bit of an uncomfortable silence between Stan and her, she just kind of drifts away like a feather. Doesn't really say goodbye to anybody. Just kind of wanders off, picks up her pack, throws it onto her back, and just starts heading north towards the south gate.
Well, I
Ooh,
guess we
strange
ought to
one.
make camp there.
Yep, let's get comfortable.
All
for
right,
the-
let's bring up the group sheet.
Alrighty. Da-da-da-da-da.
Who's doing what? Who's making camp?
I figure that's probably me.
Yeah, you do it, right?
Does seem to be my shtick.
All right, and who's going to keep watch? Who's going to sleep?
Keep
I'm-
watch.
Pretty beat up. Do you want to keep watch, Aldrich, or I can?
Yeah, I can go ahead and keep watch.
Okay.
Oh, Kentucky.
Does that put Osric and Vasilla on sleepy time?
Sleeping. Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
So both Osric and Vasilla are healthy. So you guys will restore any lost attributes. And let's get a make camp roll.
I got
Right.
this.
Then you're able to find a good spot, a spot that is not only level. If it were to start raining, you'd be in good shape, but maybe a place not visible. If you're on a tower, one of those shambling towers of the Hollows, they probably wouldn't see the tent go up either. So that is a successful make camp. And let's have an Aldrich keep watch.
All right, there we are. All right.
Very, very nice. Did we roll for water and food today?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Well, I remember when we got to the river, you said we should refill our skins. So I
Right.
assume we just drunk and take care of that. I don't think we've rolled for food.
All right,
Hey-
so let's do that. Let's roll for food as we see you guys making a fire. Sten starts the fire, and you guys cook some rations.
Hey, Craig, does the scepter tick
In the
after
morning.
sleep heals?
Yep.
Or is it's every quarter day, right?
No, I think it's every day, is it not?
It's every
Aldrich?
quarter.
Oh, it's every quarter?
Yeah, it's brutal.
Well, just
Yeah,
leave it in the
it-
tent. Nobody touch it. Until
Yeah.
we need to leave.
Sometimes you just put it down and let it sit.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
so
moral
yeah,
words of Alton
you'll
Brown,
you'll
just
be
walk
full
away.
again, but if someone picks that thing up, God, I didn't realize it was every quarter day. That
Yeah,
is
it is.
brutal.
Yes, it's brutal.
So we see Osric and Vasilla go to sleep. Aldrich is keeping his eyes on things. And Stan, you're sleeping you're making camp this quarter.
I made camp. I'll sleep
Yeah.
next time.
All right, so let's go ahead and push ourselves to the fourth quarter of the day. So we're at midnight. That leaves us on Sunday, the 25th of Spring Rise. We've got Vasilla and Osric awake. We're going to have Sten and Aldrich sleep.
Mhm.
And then I need to know what Vasilla and Osric are going to do. One of you should keep watch.
I've got watch, I think.
I hope so, because scouting is not particularly my jam.
You're so
Yeah.
easily distracted, Osric.
Right? He's busy practicing with his sword or some such.
That was actually what I was thinking I might do.
Yeah, you got time to do stuff.
You'll have the quarter day. Both of you have a quarter day to work with here. So what would Osric like to do? What would Vasilla like to do this quarter day?
Well, Basila's apparently keeping her eye out.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're busy keeping watch, so I guess it's
I'm busy.
Osric.
doing my job.
I think that he's gonna spend some time working with this shield and train rank 2 of Path of the Shield.
Excellent. What does rank 2 of Path of the Shield do? You want to throw it in the chat?
Oh, that's a thing I can do, I'm sure.
I think you just click on it.
Once you
There
drag
we
it onto
go.
you, yep, there you go. That's rank 1.
And with, does it not
Oh, there's
show all
rank
3?
2. Okay.
It shows all
Yeah.
3, yeah.
When you
when you-
parry, you can immediately spend a willpower to
Ooh.
not count the parry against your actions in the round. Wow.
That seems
Making
handy.
it. Yeah, you can do this several times in a round as long as you have willpower to spend. That's huge.
So
You can continuously parry until you're out of willpower and it doesn't use your fast action.
Yes. And that should cost 6 experience if I got
Yes.
that right.
Yep.
3 per
Very
rank and
nice.
from 1 to 2.
I'm going to go ahead and put us to morning.
we didn't get attacked by dragons, or
So, sun rises. Like yesterday, we've got kind of a light, just enough drizzle to be annoying. And just enough where you just kind of are doing this a lot, and it's just everything's a little damp. But no trouble getting a fire going. And we see Vasila and Osric, prep the fire as we see Aldrich and Sten wake up this lovely Monday morning.
Let's see how good I feel when I wake up.
I think that's a good idea. Now, is Nurse Vasila?
I mean, I'm going to 100% attempt to be a nurse and help you, or a doctor and help you.
And if you're okay, I would like that to also be you waking up Sten.
Of course.
All right, so
Sten,
I'm gonna.
and Sten only was like undisturbed. He may have only had like 15 minutes of sleep left in him. But if you've ever been woken up 15 minutes
Oh,
before
no.
your alarm,
You're at the
and
wrong port in the REM cycle.
Yep.
exactly.
Oh,
I
brutal.
also like that you imagine that normally Sten is first up, but of
Right.
course he's
Mhm.
also a little under the weather, so
Yes,
he's sleeping in like for
exactly.
the first time in 20 years.
All right, so we're gonna do my roll last.
All right. So I'm going to. All right. I've made sure this is the full dosage. You're the only one getting it. You're going to drink it all the way. I know that yesterday I thought you maybe spit it out, but we want you to be alive. You're old man. We like you around these parts. So drink it all the way down. You want to breathe in twice, real deep, once it's in your belly, and just hold your breath and let the whole thing just soak through. Okay?
Chugs it down. Doesn't even make a face, doesn't even complain, just kind of does it. Holds
Alright.
his breath. Yeah. Takes
All
a
right,
drink.
so I'm rolling for it here. Is this the
I
plan?
guess so.
You're gonna roll first, and then I'm gonna
Sway,
roll
it's
11.
not my
dice.
fault.
Well,
Well, it's
I'm
not a
gonna-
complete failure.
I'm going to push as well.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so 1 to your empathy. So we've got 2 successes. I need to know how we started, why Vasila pushed, and what that push looked like to cause a damage to your empathy.
So I think it's because like she actually cares about her friends, and she cares about her like status amongst her friends, and like it's what she's supposed to be doing, right? Like this is like the path that she's been put down in this whole adventure. She can't fight. She's
Point of order.
she can't do magic, right? So like keeping her friends healthy and well, like her mom used to do for the village, and it's like songs are great, but she's starting to not think that they are the whole of things.
We ready for me to roll 11 dice?
Might as well.
If I get 3
Not
successes.
at all.
Oh, it's still. Hold on.
No, you can't make me roll this one. I can't do it.
So, yeah, and I heard that if I select a token, it would let me do it. Let's just see.
Go
here.
ahead and put a Sten token out. You can roll for me with myself.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's still not letting me doing it. So, who wants to hold Sten's fate in their
got it.
hands?
Got it. 11d6.
Yep.
Ooh.
Oh. Oh. That looked
Huh?
good.
Huh?
Not a single 6 in the dice that came across the screen.
Excellent.
A whole lot of ones. That would have been a great Bane roll.
Basila, you mad little halfling.
So, you know,
You drink the
basically,
tea.
yep. I sit there, I do the breath, I hold my arm, and then at a certain point, still not saying anything, he just starts to unwrap the bandages on his arm. And he kind of
And what do you
unwraps
see?
them without looking for a long minute.
You
And then
see
he
Vasila like pacing back and forth in front of you, like singing like a little the nursery rhyme to herself.
and then he looks down, and the old scar that he's had there for a long time is still there, and it still looks fresher than it has. But the discoloration and the veins and everything are very withdrawn. There's still like a little bit around the edges of the wound, but it looks much better than it has in days. He's like, well,
And the only thing it looks similar to what we saw with Aldrich the next day. And I think that all of you have seen the onset of this disease and the winning of the battle against this disease enough to know you don't need the midwife to tell you you're on the other side of this stun.
Well, little one, it looks like you do know what you're doing sometimes after all.
I'm gonna
Thank you.
stop my pace. I grab his arm. I look at him.
Ow.
I look at him. I look at him. I give him a hug. And then and I stop and I'm like, now eat double rations. And I'm gonna head out the door.
He's not going to eat double rations. He's an old man. He can barely fit a meal in his stomach. But he gets up and starts packing the tent up, and he's probably smiling for the first time in a while. Not that you can see it under the mustache, but
So I'm curious, knowing that the four of you, after everything that's happened, especially with how you were kicked out of the Hollows, I am very interested to hear what the conversations as we are packing up and getting ready to head north to the gate. I really am interested to know where everybody's head is.
well, I feel like we got to see what the situation is, you know, in the change, because it may be that nobody who's in charge here minds us being back.
Well, if Sturkis is truly gone, I mean, he was effectively the one who kicked us out between him and Miss Palmer. So
Why does Aldrich think
can-
Sturkis is gone?
didn't they say he was not seen after the murder?
Yep, just confirming for the audience.
Yeah, just going off the information.
And there was one
Aldrich
other
has.
thing that made
Also, you
potentially
saw his
makes
charm on the midwife's belt bloodied.
Yes.
Okay.
And did only Aldrich see that?
Yeah,
Yes, and I did not share that with anyone.
I thought so.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and you know, if he's the one that was driving us out, then without the mayor here, he may have lost some of his influence. So I think
Well-
it's worth at least trying and seeing what they think.
So we do know not to put a damper on this lovely straightish rain we have going on, but we just had a encounter with some Rust brothers that were looking for us specifically because of what happened with the other Rust brothers, and now we've killed 5. So even if Sturkis is here, he's probably not a super fan of ours. If I don't know how these guys.
I'm not a super fan of his either, but
Also, they did say they know where Oakheart is, right? Like when we back in the fortress that rotted. They
They
know
did.
where it's at.
those did.
Yeah.
Should we not tarry and get home? Just make sure everything's okay.
Or are we bringing trouble with us?
Well, if they know where the village is and
Double-edged
they know we're
sword.
from there, they might be there anyway.
Right.
Might be worth at least warning folks. Maybe if if Yawin is doing a bunch of trade, I don't know. Obviously, he can't get a boat up there, but if he sends some travelers up that way, maybe we could pass a message along. So if
Oakheart
they're
was
more
small.
concerned with us, they don't follow us.
Right. Oakheart was on a lake. Is that correct? Do I remember that correctly?
It was. It
Yeah,
was.
I don't have the map in front of me, but I don't.
As best
think
as you
it's
could
the same.
tell, it was not connected though. Let me
Okay.
just make sure I'm not lying. Hold on. I'm doing that from memory, but I'm pretty sure it's not connected. So let's just take a quick look at the
None of
world
my
map.
characters' experience have ever circumnavigated that lake, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so it is on what appears to be a different river. So there's a river that was running
Mhm.
north of Oakheart that appeared to be running east-west. It came south, then went east, and that's when it encountered Oakheart. So you were about a mile and a half, 2 miles from kind of the bend in the river where it went
Mhm.
running south to running east. No indication that it had connected
So they might connect at some point, but we have no way of knowing it.
in theory.
Right. And Yahweh might have been running carts up too, right? It's not a long walk.
True.
And we did mention to him where, well, I guess relative about where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
tell me if I'm right here, players. Now, I think it was just Dalb who was that minstrel.
Mm-hmm.
Was he the only one that met, or did we hit? So he mentioned. I remember mentioning or being familiar with Oakheart,
Yes.
and then
I
was there somebody in
think-
First Retreat that
I
also
think the
was?
Yes.
folks in First
yes,
Retreat were
the
familiar
people
with
at First Retreat
Yes.
suggested
least
that
one
they
of them,
had that they had I don't want to say infiltrators, but I feel like it was almost an infiltrator.
Because
Right?
now I'm trying to remember because they said, what if? Because they asked, do we not have a Rust brother there watching it?
We asked that.
I
We
think
said, "Oh, we
Right.
don't have a Rust.
we don't
brother
have
there."
a Rust. We didn't think we
And I
had a
said,
Rust
"Oh,
brother.
We know of it. They didn't say infiltrator,
Okay.
but I got the feeling that they had like a spy.
It was
as well.
inferred that
Okay.
Yeah.
that they were still monitoring Oakheart.
Okay.
Hmm.
Then it's probably best that we don't go back.
But I do think it might be a good idea to check with Yawin if he's open to trade there,
Sure.
and if he has, then he can perhaps pass a message for us.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
Also, you might want to get some arrows.
Yeah. At the very least, we need to grab supplies here.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're heading north. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the hollows.
All right, let's see here. Oh, that is not showing the map the way I wanted it to. And
Yeah,
I'm
me
sorry,
and
a
Dave
small
were so
technical thing.
worried
Give me
about
just
that
a
roll.
second. There we go. Oh, why are you doing this? Hold on. There we go. Now it should show the map. Okay.
Nope. Well,
And
it might
we
be
are-
showing it to you.
Oh, there it is. It was behind Sten on my map.
So I see the hex map, but not like the Hollows map. Is that what you see?
No,
Oh no,
yeah, it's going to be the hex
area
map.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Yes,
gonna
I
move
see
you
the hex
nor-
map.
Yeah, I'm going to move you north into the hollows. I was
All right.
actually I was having trouble showing it to the
Ah,
audience.
gotcha.
All right. So what I am then going to do is move us to the Hollows. For those of you watching, we use Foundry almost exclusively here on Third Floor Wars. It is a phenomenal VTT. And one of the things, as a channel that obviously loves Free League puts out official modules for the Foundry. So we're using the official module for Forbidden Lands. It's something stupid like $12 and worth every dime. So I have the four of you working your way down the hill as you get closer and closer towards the valley that makes these rivers that meet. And I'll kind of walk you through the information you gather as you walk. At any point, the players can stop me if you want. There's something you want to do. What becomes fields and grasslands slowly becomes kind of a worn path, becomes a very worn, wider path to a built path that has specific stone and sand that has been built with some borders along it, and it runs all the way to the gate that at this point is almost twice as tall as any part of the wall that surrounds the Hollows.
Was
You
there
can
even
see-
a gate here before?
There was, but you guys didn't take the gate. You just walked over you
Mhm,
literally stepped
mhm.
over the wall. As you approach the gate is open. And you saw this gate in your time in the Hollows. At no point was it ever manned. Now, there were times that you saw people at the crumbling towers that surrounded this crumbling wall. But in your conversations and hearing things, both at Dead Man's Hand as well as at Three Skulls, security was very lax at the Hollows. And one of the things that I'll remind you of was there was a feeling of a harmony with the dead that, yeah, you want to come after us, just hope the sun don't set, right? Like, we have an army. So as you get closer, unlike any time before, you do see two figures, and they are manning this open gate. And you did have one encounter where you saw somebody in one of the towers that was on duty. And they were in very worn, old, like 200-year-old armor. These two gentlemen are in new armor. But Sten and Osric, the two of you immediately identify by the way they are standing, the way that the armor fits. These are not trained soldiers. At best, these are townspeople with new toys.
Yeah, this is a militia. Kind of wave as we get close. Do they look like they're making any move to stop us or question us? Or
No, they don't really wave back, Sten. They don't. They kind of acknowledge, right? So they make it clear they can see you.
Mhm.
And when you get within shouting distance, the one on the left kind of yells a little bit, let's say about 100 yards or so away. And the pitch of his voice gives away his age. He is maybe 13.
Oh, jeez.
Who goes there?
Sten looks at the talkie people.
Oh,
Usually
hey,
realizes that means Visela.
Yeah.
hi, travelers from the south.
You see him kind of look and he goes, "Where's your mother?"
I don't know. Where's yours?
No, she's not a child. It's a long story.
It's a
Can
short
we
story.
come close? It's funny.
What?
It's easier if we're not shouting. Can we come close?
And assuming that you continue walking, it doesn't seem to bring them any agita, right? So they don't feel like
Okay.
you're encroaching on them as you continue to walk forth. They go, what? And he kind of turns to his friend, who now, as you get closer, Osric, you can recognize. Maybe he's 14. He kind of says something to him. He goes, what's your business in the hollows?
Hold on. Walk up to Ulrich next to them. Hi, I'm Priscilla. These are my friends. We're here to see about maybe some work and a bed. It's tiring. We are dirty from walking down the road. Are
Refill
you guys
our
open
packs.
for business?
So he looks down at you, and he looks up at Aldrich, and he goes, "Do you have money?" He doesn't acknowledge you.
I mean, we
I'm
have
just gonna walk
money
into
to
the.
spend.
I'm like, well, if you're not gonna pay
Well-
attention, we'll go talk to people that are useful. Then bye.
And there's a little bit of panic here, right? So they're like, "Oh, what? And like they both look at each other and like, "Are you gonna do something? I'm not gonna do something. Are you gonna do something?" And they just let you walk in.
Thank you.
You are, and then they give the teenager. That's what we were gonna do anyway. You are welcome to enter the hollows. We expect no trouble.
As,
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.
as
Very
we
kind.
as we trail in, Aldrich's just gonna take 2 copper and like throw it back behind him.
And it falls on the path, and there's a scrum as the two of them just launch into it. You can hear the clang of these shiny new helmets and chainmail as they clash together. He goes, "No, he threw it at me. No, he threw it at me."
You're
I got
doing
a
great,
cop.
kids.
I got
And
a couple
malicious
on the
doesn't
right one.
pay good.
Back to being a kid again. It's all right.
You-
At least Sten's good at being a grandpa.
You think
Get
they
off
would have
my
learned
lawn.
about the whole kid thing?
So
Oh, by
as
the
you
way,
walk-
Craig, it looks like there's a ghost of the party over by the East Gate.
Yeah, the
I
last
can't do
group of
anything with.
adventurers.
Oh, really? Let's take a
They're
look.
still
Oh,
here.
Sure enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
those guys
amazing.
like their old Hero Forge pictures.
Get rid of those yahoos. Thank you. All right. So as you guys enter, you start to walk through. And as a quick reminder, we talked about the wall, right? And the condition of the wall. The homes are mostly wood, kept up, but you can tell the homes are old. We've got thatched roofs. There's a straight shot from the gate to this old stone bridge that crosses this river, which is really the only way to get from one side to the other without getting wet. Directly to your left, right by the bridge, is the Three Skulls Tavern, where you first met Yowen. I'm not a dwarf, Yowen. And then, if you remember, just left of that was the mill, which is where he was milling the ingredients to make his bread, or to make his ale and his beer. And then to the right, there was many buildings were residences that you didn't encounter. The only encounter you did have was with the fisherman and his wife, who apparently were the parents of the son who had fled with the map that you ended up finding, that kind of spurred this entire adventure. The town is coming to life, and the only thing that's different from the other mornings that you spent in the Hollows is people are working on their homes.
Oh
You
God,
see
they put
people
together an HOA.
tending you see tending of yards, you see sealing of broken windows, you see a couple people just in the first couple homes working on their roofs.
Out of curiosity, wait, I'm trying to remember. Were the bells on the outside of the door or the inside of the door?
They were on the outside. But
Outside.
Are they still? Do we still see those on all the buildings?
You do see still see bells right outside the front door of each of these
Okay.
homes.
Well, at least some things never change.
Maybe.
Um, Remind me, the Three Skulls didn't have rooms to let, right? It was
No.
just a tavern.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah. So as I'll ping it, I forgot how to
The
ping
Dead
in
Man's
this.
Hand in.
So
rooms.
where your token is, it's just directly north.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's Three Skulls. Three Skulls was just a tavern.
Right. That's kind of
Dead's
right.
Man Hand was up and to kind of to the right on the way towards the east gate, and that is where Olm was very proud of his renovated.
Yes.
Yeah, all of the many rooms that he had let out all the time.
Well, at the rate it is now, it might actually be more crowded.
He might have a customer.
Right. Oh, well, let's go see our not a dwarf.
All right.
So you guys head to Three Skulls.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you're walking in, and similar to 2 weeks ago, nobody was paying a ton of attention. You guys got a little bit of stares, mostly because of Vasilla, but people are very busy. So what felt like a town of busybodies is a town of really busy people now. And you get to that large front porch of Three Skulls. The sign is swinging above the door, where you see why it has its name, the Three Skulls on the sign. It says Three Skulls Tavern.
It's not like under new management or anything.
You see the front door, which is closed. 7 a.m. That's reasonable. But it was closed, and you were there mid-afternoon. But something's missing. Sign.
bell.
If you remember,
Ah.
very clearly there was a sign that said, "No dwarves."
Wonderful Yawans come clean.
Knock, knock, knock.
You knock, and there is kind of a muffled sound that says, "Come in."
Well, open the
Open
door.
the door.
So you open the door, and if I remember correctly, it was pretty early in the day when you guys first approached the Hollows, and I think Three Skulls Tavern was one of your first visits. So let's have it be about that same time of day. And if I remember correctly, there's one or two patrons that were in the Three Skulls Tavern. And as you open the door, Vasilla, there's more than that. There's probably 5 or 6, which is nice. And there's an air of jovialness, and people are kind of laughing a little bit. And you turn to the bar. And behind the bar is Olm. Let's go to break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. So the door flies open. The 4 of you are standing and taking the information I just gave you. And the big surprise, obviously, is Olm, who, for those of you that may not be up to speed or don't remember, because it's been 18 episodes, is the owner, the very friendly, jovial, heavy-set owner of Dead Man's Hand. And as soon as the door flies open, he, wiping down the pseudo bar series of boxes, kind of goes, and you see that face of recognition, right? As he kind of
It's kind of much the same one we're making.
Yeah.
raises his hand and goes, "Friends, you've returned."
Hi,
And then he
Olm.
says to the whole group,
How you doing, Om?
"First round on Three Skulls."
Love to hear
All right then, to the bar.
it. To the bar.
So you
Didn't
guys had-
expect to see you here.
Had you told me 4 days ago I was going to be here, I would have laughed at you. But yes, yes, I am
what's
here now.
happened?
What are we drinking?
What you
Uh,
serving?
You still got the dwarven ale here?
The best ale in all of Ravensland.
Well, you know that's what we
yeah.
want.
And you see him
Absolutely.
gesture, and you look down to the end of the bar, and the bar back is the son, who you saw Dead Man's, and he grabs 4 tankards and starts to fill them up, or 4 tankards and starts to fill them up.
So what happened to the dead man?
Oh, the dead. I gave it to my eldest daughter. If you remember, she's the one that served you.
Yeah.
Ah,
No,
yeah.
she was great.
So she is. It's long overdue. Long
that-
overdue that she has her own place. We've got. If you're going to stay here tonight, I'll tell you, we've only got 3 rooms left.
Oh,
So you'll want to
business
go
kicking
there,
up.
and and it has been very busy, very
Well,
busy,
good.
and so
Love to hear it.
you'll and if you want, I can send a boy up there to reserve those rooms for you. Oh,
That-
no, you're good for it. I know.
Okay. Well, I don't want some. It looks like there's a lot of trade coming through town. I wouldn't want somebody else to get him out of our.
No, I
Get
will
him
make
extra numbers.
sure that we have the large room for you.
Well, thank you very much.
A warm bud would be greatly appreciated.
And then clunk, the
Mhm.
son drops the 4 tankards and passes
Mhm.
them to each of you.
I give it a big sniff. Is it the appropriate smell?
It smells like Yawam's ale.
Well, to continued success.
Clinky.
And he turns and kind of gives a quick pull on the
Mhm.
one of the tankards behind and and he clinks with you,
Right.
and takes a sip. So what
So,
brings you
just-
back?
Needed to pick up some supplies. It looks like things are changing around here. What did we miss? It's only been a couple weeks.
It's been an exciting couple weeks. It has been an exciting couple weeks. And he kind of looks around. He goes, "They found Miss Palmer dead."
Oh,
I mean, she was old. Was it quick?
No, it was murder. And the next eve, they found Sturkis in the same
Also-
way.
oh.
Oh,
And
my.
I'm not sure what happened, but I immediately wanted to find out what had happened to my friends. And, we had started to ask questions, and there was a lot of talk about Yawam. And the next morning after Sturkis was found, the brothers showed up.
I was gonna say.
Mm.
And they very quickly realized what Yawam had done. They had very compelling evidence against him. They wouldn't share it with me, but it was clear to them, at least, that Yawam had done it. A gentleman named Rembrado, who was in charge of, there's 7 of them. They took Yawam and they headed west. It would have been 4 days ago now, and they took him in custody, and they headed to a place they called the Haggler's House. And right now we have no Rust Brothers, though they mentioned there would be a new one installed here in the coming days. But Yawam, in his infinite kindness, despite our haggle, our dispute over who had the best spirits here in the Hollows, he signed over the 3 taverns to me, which I thought was very kind of him. And he seems to kind of gesture down below the bar as he says that. So I have taken this over, and it's now part of the family. And of course you can be served the same ale at the Dead Man's as well. But things are better. Things are good. We have
Sure.
found the culprit. They have the Rust Brothers, in their desire for order, now that the mist has left, has found who is responsible. They have administered justice, and I anticipate an incredible amount of prosperity. They came on boats from the west, and they brought several barges. So I am working now to begin trade. We are going to tomorrow morning start exploring to the east towards the Great Sea, and see what other settlements are out there, and really bring a whole new age to the Hollows.
I'm sorry,
Wow.
did he say the Rust brothers came with boats?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in times like these, I mean, often you can see like a major issues with power structures. Who's Miss Palmer had was kind of the guiding light of the town. Who's filling her shoes? I know it's only been 4 days, but something things seem to be happening and hasn't completely devolved.
I fear it's fallen on me. It's a burden that I don't want to carry. I have no desire to run this town, but everybody seems to be looking to me. And if it is a burden I must bear, if it means that we are safe and we are well and we stay in good standing with the Rust brothers, then it's a burden I'm willing to bear.
Can I see if he's lying?
That seems reasonable. Little insight check.
And how would we like to do that, sir?
Insight seems the appropriate role. If that works for you there.
Yeah.
Captain.
Ooh.
My
won't
favorite
believe
moment
him.
in all of RPGs. It appears he's telling the truth.
Mhm.
Would you like to push
What?
this?
You're not gonna. Oh my goodness, what a roll!
No. I don't care if he's. What I care about is the Rust brothers. I don't like him. Him
Yeah.
being in charge of the town doesn't bother me one way or the other.
So here's what you can glean, Vasilla, is the facts as presented
Hmm.
all seem to line up.
Well, cheers. I'm glad he left you the recipe as well as the bar. This is still delicious.
It was always a human recipe. And he kind of looks around a little bit. Yaman was not human.
He was
Are you sure?
he was
He was not one of your people, little one. He was
yeah.
he was a dwarf. He was a mountain man.
So the Ross brothers came through on boats?
They did. They came with boats. I could only assume that Yawim had made some arrangements maybe for them to bring barges after he murdered Miss Palmer. That's all I can assume. I don't know, but it is, they left them here for me and my family to use, and it would be a shame for us not to bring prosperity to the town.
Definitely. Is Miss Palmer's the mayoral mansion open? Like, are you staying there? Did you get to move your family to as part of your responsibilities?
No. We have ultimate respect for her. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman and a great mayor. We would not do that for another week.
Fair.
Sure.
Another week.
That's fair. I don't
Can
know.
I know Dave just made an insight. Could I also make an insight? Mostly to see if he's kind of, not necessarily to know if he's lying, but if he's trying to cover up that
She's
he's
still
not that
covered in her
remorseful.
blood, Greg.
So all right. So, and I'm going to ask you to reframe that a little bit. Not that what you framed it was wrong, but I just want to bring some insight from a GM perspective. So, I'm not a huge fan of everybody rolls until somebody
Doubling up,
succeeds,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, agreed.
Dave, the player, made it very clear what he was looking for. And so, what is Aldrich looking for something different, and what is that? And you can say the same thing you just said.
I'm mostly trying to see if he's being genuine about, does he actually did he always respect Miss Palmer, or is this I've been gunning for this position, whether or not I did it or not, this happily fell into my lap.
Got it. So let's do an insight roll.
All right. Jeez. Well, this is a good
He's like
opportunity
a stone.
to get some willpower. I'm going
He-
to push.
There's a reason he's in charge of town
Yeah.
already, and it turns
He's-
out he is
yeah,
a
he's a
silver
good
tongued
liar.
devil. Oh, you convinced me.
geez.
Let's have another beer.
How many wits
Oh
do you
wow.
have?
5. That just took me down to
Okay.
2.
Okay.
You might want to slow down on the ale there.
Yeah,
You're looking a little.
Aldrich has
little
downed
loopy.
the first one, and like magically a second one got refilled for him, and he
Yeah,
started
it's
that one.
weird
He's
how
like,
that happens.
he's looking at but it's more of a.
Look at the one in the middle.
It's like you've had a rough time recently.
I'm happy for you, You're doing great.
So I'm gonna have that wits damage being you getting inebriated.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
And
that's very fitting.
and I'm gonna take it over the top and trust you as a player, Nate. Like you are all team Ulm right now.
Yep,
You're like, you know what? This
he's
is
doing
great.
good things for this town. This is
You're
awesome.
the best. I love you,
Um,
man. I love this town.
You know what?
Oh my god! I just got a
Cheers.
case of the "I love you, man's."
Cheers for the greater good of the Hollows.
And no rolls from the other three of you.
This
Aldrich is
town
drunk.
is turned around.
I mean, yeah, no, that seems pretty obvious. I mean, I can't blame him. If I was
You know what?
feeling a little better, I would also be getting drunk.
You know what? That Yawin fellow, he stood to benefit too much from Miss Palmer's. It makes sense. There's motive. Can't argue.
Also, have you ever heard of a dwarf without a beard?
If he was willing to shave his beard,
And as you say that, Aldrich, Ulm leans in. He goes, "I think he shaved every morning."
he would have had to, from what I know of dwarves.
While this conversation is going on, Sten's just kind of looking around the rest of the bar. Do these mostly look like locals, or are there? Not that I know everybody in town by any means.
Sure. They feel like locals. In fact, there's
Okay.
enough familiar faces, Sten,
Mhm.
that you get that vibe, right? That there's not a bunch of outsiders here at Three Skulls, but you do recognize somebody, and it's somebody that you encountered very briefly, which was the person that was in charge of hunting.
Vike.
And if you remember Vike, right. So Vike was the one that was literally the first person that you encountered at a distance. Vike was coming back from a hunt as you guys were approaching the Hollows. You see Vike kind of keeping to himself over by the fire.
Mhm.
And when you start scanning the room and lock eyes with Vike, he locks eyes with you and gives you the "I know what you're doing" look in a friendly sort of way.
Just kind of nod.
And he nods back.
Mhm.
At least one of
Um,
us does.
Remind me, when we were last here, is he the guy that I got arrows from? Because I seem to remember there wasn't like a general store as such.
Yeah, he mentioned that he'd gotten the tips from
Mhm.
the blacksmith, from
Mhm.
Ness,
Mhm.
but that he's the one that fashioned the arrows themselves.
Okay. Well, I mean, and he's kind of sitting by himself.
He is by himself, yep. And you can tell by the steam coming off of the cup in front of him, he's not
Mhm.
drinking ale.
Right. So Stan will probably pick his tankard up and sort of mosey over there and sit near him. Not like right up on him or anything.
And as you approach, he kicks a chair open.
Okay, then I'll sit into that one.
While that's going on, I'm going to be like, when I see him go, and I'm like, do you mind if I play a tune? I haven't played for some people in a while.
Yeah, Vasilla, a song. Absolutely. Great idea. That'll set the mood.
And we know he's saying that while he's not drinking because he can't gesture and drink
Right.
at the same time.
I only got one arm to do it with. so-
Exactly.
It's like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cast levitate. Levitate on this cup. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's
Safe
like
cast.
fly,
No, thank
but
you.
safer. It's fly, but safer. There's no diseases involved with levitate.
So he said, oh, no, of course, little one. Yes, of course, please. And friends, the minstrel is back. It has been days since we've had a minstrel here. I'd like you to all meet. And he kind of looks at you for your name.
I am the traveling Vasilla.
Vasilla.
Woo! Yeah.
And there
so I'm
is.
going-
Sorry, we just hear the little twang of tuning, and Sten's just like,
I am going to play Aldrich's favorite songs. We're gonna play like Aldrich's mixtape of favorite traveling
Now that's what Aldrich calls music.
And if I remember, you have a talent, Vasilla, that potentially makes this profitable, right?
Does. My talent is the Path of the Song. Which I will do that, which shows everyone, I think. And I'm going to spend a willpower point so that I draw everyone's attentiones.
So you draw everybody's attention in near range.
Yep, and I'm
Stop
a
what
level
they're doing.
2. No, I'm only level 1 in the Path of Song. Yep.
Oh, you can't
And
make them
it's
tame.
modified by a -1 because I only spent 1 willpower.
So let's do a -1 performance.
Wait, why is it -1?
No, they get a -1 to their scout checks.
Oh, okay. If someone wants to
anyone's scouting,
break your
yeah.
gaze.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is the distraction song.
you got it.
And all heads turn. And even our gamekeeper is, he's pushed the chair out for you, Stan, is like, oh,
Yeah, I'm stuck with it too. Although most of the attention I have to focus on is just going like, she does this every morning. I could sing you this song verbatim by now. Oh my god.
But I
It
won't.
never stops. It never stops.
for what it matters, friend, my wife sings every morning, and it doesn't sound as sweet. There are worse companions.
Sure. Yeah, no, she's handy to have around, I'll give you that.
How is the hunt, friend?
Well, it left me with an empty quiver and damn near died of the plague, but all's well now, and we've returned safe and hale.
That's good. That's good. And if you're in the market for arrows, I'm happy.
I definitely am.
Come by the hut. Come by the hut. I'll be happy to take care of you. I'll give you the returning friends discount. Just my grandson should be there if I'm not, and you just let him know.
Very
Let him
kind.
know that returning friends discount.
So yeah, I mean, I'll definitely want to get his, feel him out on his things on town, but we'll wait till Vasilla's done because she's obviously gonna occupy a lot of attention.
In fact, the exact opposite of the distracting song's job.
So yeah, I'm going to continue with the conversation.
Okay.
With the gamekeeper. So
All right. So sorry, it's just a S.C. Hayworth comment on the chat. She sings good and fits into most overhead storage bins. Yeah, so I'll say so it's been an eventful week here, it seems.
much has been happening. Much has been happening. We were invaded, and the Rush brothers came in force. They came with boats, barges. They had and he kind of looks a little bit to see if there's ears, but there's not because Vasilla's cranking it in the center of the tavern. It was a fast investigation, and they feel old man Yawin did it, and
They apparently had some excellent evidence that no one saw.
well, and to be fair, there's motive. If there was somebody in this town that wanted her dead, I would say it was him, but he had a relationship with Sturkis, and I have to say him murdering Sturkis is a surprise.
I have to wonder if somebody else would benefit from seeing both of them dead. And he kind of looks around the tavern. He says it quietly. He knows he knows the loud parts of this song.
Yeah. He says, there has been fortune. Fortune brought to the dead man's
for sure
tavern. But you're healthy, and that's good. And
yes,
I am not one for politics, and if the hunt is still good and this is better for the town, that's fine. My concern, of course, is who the brothers install. I had at least a cordial relationship with Sturkis. He was fine.
Well, it's a funny story about the Rust brothers. Remind me to tell you sometime. Maybe if I come by the hut later to look at some arrows.
I have Rust Brothers stories that I'd be willing to exchange.
That sounds great. And just kind of tap my mug along to the song. Yep, everything's great here in the Hollows.
So you see him pull something out of his jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to be stealthy about it, but not
Mhm.
necessarily from you, but maybe from the rest of the tavern. And
Mhm.
and you know what? As a bonus, if you don't notice, that's great. But he
Sure.
doesn't seem to be trying too hard to hide it from
Mhm.
you. He pours something into his coffee
Okay.
and takes another sip. And he leans over to you and he goes, "You have a watchful eye.
That's all right.
Those are the newest clothes I've ever seen Olm wear. And I'd like to leave it at that."
Business seems good.
Yes, but I recognize everybody's going about their business. And I also recognize that, in fairness, this necessarily isn't your business.
No, but I'm kind of fond of the place for whatever reason. Let's talk later.
Say hour or two, I'll meet you at the hut.
Done.
Make sure you get the straightest arrows.
Always.
So, Vasily, you finish up. Go ahead and add, let's add a silver.
Yeah. I made the
A
money.
combination of the coppers that were thrown your way.
I'll say, all right. Thank you. Maybe we'll be back tonight with our fine owner's acceptance.
Love you, Albuquerque.
Come on, Audric, let's go for a walk. You're looking a little bit, I don't know,
Man,
sweaty.
She only gets better and better by the day. I tell you what. She's so
The
good.
more ale you drink, the better she sounds.
Amazing musician, I tell you.
So I've kept track of Aldrich and Vasilla. I have not kept track of Osric.
I think Osric is fairly quietly sipping on his beer, maybe chatting just a little bit with Olm about how
Any
things are
probing
going.
questions for Olm?
I don't think I have any probing questions for Olm at this point. I think that I've been listening to his stories about the Rust brothers coming and things of that nature. Is there anything in particular I want to try to gather from him? I heard of the week that he's going to wait for Miss Palmer.
Out of respect.
Obviously. I think I want to ask him if how the traders have been impacted by the comings and goings of the dead.
So he kind of grabs a rag and continues to wipe, and he goes, "Something's changed. They've become aggressive. At night, I've had time now to put together protections. So we board the windows now to the dead man's, and now to Three Skulls. They've always kept to themselves, so we still ring the bells, but since the Rust brothers came and then they left, they have seemed agitated. And my hope is this is just a phase. We have been with them for centuries now. But they do seem aggressive is the word I'd use.
And you say since the Rust Brothers came, this has started?
And I hoped that when they'd left, it would stop, but maybe it has nothing to do with them. I don't know. But it has not stopped. It's only, if anything, only gotten worse.
Just one more, the bells, ringing the bells in the evenings will cause them to leave you be, or no?
They overall have been more agitated, but for whatever reason, and I can only assume it's anger over Yawin's actions, that they have been focused on the dead man's and the three skulls.
Mm.
But we have protections in place.
Good to know. Good to know.
How are we going to spend the rest of our quarter day? Is Aldrich going to sleep it off?
Well, I feel like we should.
I have a thought, and
And by all means,
Tell-
Aldrich can have conversations as well, right?
yeah, tell me if this is too far, but I figured this might be a good chance to maybe spend some experience. I think
I have
Aldrich's
no
gonna
idea what you're
offer-
about to say.
Aldrich's gonna offer his expertise as a cook, and in doing so,
Get
level
to
up my
improve his
my cook
chefness.
skill.
So I'm going to allow you to spend this quarter day to level up. So go ahead and take care of that. Spend the XP.
Cool.
But I might editorialize this a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
And I'm going to do this as somebody who has in college worked in many a kitchen
Mhm.
and has worked in many a late night kitchen.
Mhm.
And there is nothing that amateur chefs, when they're drunk, like to do more than think they're helping
Yep.
in the
Yep,
late
yep.
with the late
Yes.
This
night
is
menu.
exactly what I was for.
No, I've done this a
No,
ton.
hold on.
Don't even
We
worry
want-
about it.
You want a little bit of that, and we're gonna put that in the pig. We're gonna put that in the pig.
And a drunk Aldrich invades the kitchen. And this breaks, this gets knocked over, and
Thankfully, he can only do so much damage with the one arm.
yeah.
Exactly.
And instead of leaving the top on with the holes in the salt shaker, he takes the top off and dumps all the salt in the stew. And
No, that's good. That's extra flavor.
so
You
yes,
never
go ahead,
use too much.
go ahead and level up.
Perfect.
So beautiful.
And finally, Olm does come and promises another ale on the Three Skulls,
Ah.
and as thank you
You just
for
stopped
all of your
helping.
help.
Just
good
take
man,
a break.
Olm.
Just take a break for a little bit.
These cooks of yours, gotta keep an eye on them.
They're young. They're young.
They're young. They'll learn though. They're good. They're good at art.
Yeah, go ahead and level up this.
I got it. Awesome.
So what does level 2 of cook do?
That lets me, whenever I actually go to cook something, I'll throw it into the chat. I can generate an extra unit of food.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very salty food, apparently.
Yeah. Well, no, he's used up
That-
all the salt now.
Yeah, I'm used to, preparing for trail rations, so I gotta really salt it down. I'm just getting them used to what I like to eat these days.
So the population that has occupied the tavern in this few hours that you have hung out, and Sten, if it's okay with you, I'm going to extend. We concentrated a conversation that happened over a lot of silence, right? Both of you, I imagine, are men of few words, and your conversation is spread out over time. A little bit of here, a little bit of insight there, a reaction there. There's been turnover, but for every one that left, one came. Some ordered breakfast, some just ordered ale. Is there anything else mechanically anybody wants to do this quarter hour, or am I going to take us to lunchtime?
I mean, if it looks like our hunter is taking his break and heading back, I'll go and deal with arrows and things. But if he's going to
Excellent.
hang out here, I'm not in a particular hurry.
Yeah, he kind of, with few words, makes it clear
Mhm.
that he's finishing up. He pays his tab
Okay.
and just kind of with a nod tells you everything, which is, hey,
Yeah.
I'm headed back. You want to come back with me?
Yeah, I speak that language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll probably wait a few minutes after he goes to not make it obvious that I'm, going out after him. And then it says, well, I think I'm gonna go and get us those rooms and probably restock the arrows before I forget. So I guess unless any of you want to head out now, I'll see the rest of you over at the Dead Man's Hand.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
He heads out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I want to do right this second. So I'm gonna play chaperone for Aldrich.
He needs it. And good news is it doesn't take much to keep him occupied and distracted.
Mhm.
And this is a G.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't suggest that he use any magic.
Well,
Oh, no.
You can't use magic.
So
It's a
let's
made-up
cut to
thing.
Sten crossing the bridge, headed
Mhm.
north.
Mhm.
And Sten, you cross the bridge over, headed over to the hut.
Mhm.
And you come by, if you remember, this kind of kiosk temple that was in the center of town. And if you remember, there was, and I forgot who went in, but one of you went in, and I will assume that they've shared this information. There were relics and idols for almost all of the gods.
we
Mhm.
we all went in and looked at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
even
think so.
'Cause
ones
I
that
was
Aldrich wasn't familiar with, right? I think one of them was the Nightwalker, which you had only knew because it was labeled as such, but you may or may not have been familiar with it. I don't remember, but there was one for the rust, and one for the worm, and one for hem, and so on and so forth. And Sten, as you go by, you kind of peek in and see, because there's no real walls, there's only pillars, right? In kind of a gazebo type fashion. And all are gone but the one for rust.
Does not surprise me at all.
And let's have you come to the hut.
Okay.
So you're at Vike's hut.
All right.
And as you come in, you can see Vike's in the back. You see
Okay.
him busy behind the door. You see his grandson up front, and he goes, "Well, hello, stranger."
Morning, lad. I'm less of a stranger and more of a returning friend, I believe, at least according to your dad. But it's been a little while.
Oh, my dad's dead. You mean Granddad
Oh,
Vike?
sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, Vike. My apologies. I forgot how old Vike was. Yeah. So I
Do you-
needed
meat?
to.
Would you like? We have salted venison. We have.
I could get a little of that. Mostly, I need to get some good arrows. I've shot
Sir,
my quiver dry. So
we don't sell arrows. And Vike kind of peeks out and goes, "Show him the arrows." Oh, yes. And he reaches under and pulls out
right.
quivers,
Mm-hmm.
all in the same fashion that you've seen Vike wear.
Mm-hmm.
And instinctively, you know, these are not wares. These are
Right.
Vike's arrows.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, basically, I would like to buy enough to get my get my arrow die back up to a D12, which is 48 copper.
Okay.
So
that's
I
4
can-
silver and 8 copper.
Yep. So I will
Lot of
adjust my
arrows.
coin accordingly. Look, I
And-
have one job on this ship.
You get at least 4 shots with that.
and so the kid sees you like take arrows from one quiver and start
Mhm.
put them in, and then you slide that over, and he's like, oh, okay, and he kind of pushes the next one, and you see him
Uh-huh.
kind of look back at Granddad, and Vike gestures,
Mhm.
it's okay, and
I'm gonna be
And-
in the wilds for a while.
yeah, and it was, what did we say, 1 silver and how much copper?
It was
4
4
silver.
silver, 8 copper.
Yeah, so he slides the copper back,
Oh, okay.
and says, Granddad says you have a discount.
Oh, that's very kind of him. Actually, is it okay if I go back and talk to him for a bit, or can he come out?
Oh, Granddad Vike, yeah. And as you go back there, Sten,
Mm-hmm.
he has got this beautiful stag that he has
Mhm.
rigged up to the high ceilings that's in the back, much higher than the ceilings in the store itself. And you see him just, goddamn, like respect, right? Like,
Yeah, he's been
just
doing this a long time.
yeah, just one pull. He takes part of
Mhm.
the hide, and with
Mhm.
that blade, just one pull cleanly is just skinning this stag.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have enough, friend?
Well, I have as many as I can carry, so it'll have to be enough.
I have to hunt in the morning. Did you leave any for me?
I mean, from the looks of this, you only need one.
And he's like, thanks, man. He gives you kind of that unspoken two old man hunter
Uh-huh.
look.
One recognizes name.
Yeah, you know your shit. Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm assuming this is fairly away from like the streets.
It's just
and
the two of you
everything
talking.
nearby.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that I'm curious about with all this going on is how did the Rust brothers know that they had to show up here in force?
And before you finish your sentence, you see him kind of chuckle to himself and trying to make it look like he's hiding it, but he knows he's
Right,
not,
exactly.
right. And he goes, that is a really, really good question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How does I don't know, at best, to get to Hagler's house is a 6-day trip, maybe 4 days by horse. How do they know a week in advance to bring barges to a man they are about to arrest?
And I'm assuming that when they came through the gates, they already knew that Sturkis was dead.
Oh, they arrived within hours of Sturkis's death.
Well, now I may have an answer to part of that mystery. After we left town, we traveled downriver a bit.
As you're talking, he closes the door to the front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm keeping it low because I don't want to get his family caught up in this. We came to a place called the First Retreat, which is an old wooden fortress they were rebuilding and starting to repopulate.
Is that east, south, north of here? Where
It
is
was southeast, I believe. It was down further along the river.
Downriver, yep.
So it was a Rust brother and some, I think there were a couple of Rust brothers and a lot of soldiers who looked a little bit off. And I will tell them the story about how, they had captured children and one of them literally transformed into a giant, enormous demon. And so I'm not sure all Rust brothers are that way, but definitely some of them are not on the side of peace and righteousness.
And as you're slowly unfolding this story, telling him exactly what unfolded at First Retreat, he's stopped working the stag. He goes, brews some coffee, serves you the coffee, and he's listening but staying busy, right? So he's not just sitting and listening. He is appearing to be, doing stuff. And finally, as you finish, he puts the coffee in front of you, and he's got this long white beard, and I don't doubt any of your tale. And Sturkis wasn't of the faith, that faith. And though we don't know that she is dead, you should know the midwife. She went missing as well. And she was a Raven sister. And her not being here when the Rust brothers arrived was fortune for her. So they're involved. How the brothers are involved, I don't know. Donan, the brother before Sturkis, was a cruel man. Part of what allowed Palmer to gain such power was her claiming to arrange the replacement of Sturkis. Sturkis was harmless. Sturkis wanted to be left alone. If you gave him books and ale, he didn't press this religious gobbledygook.
I feel like you may not be that lucky this next time.
I'm concerned at the influence they have on the Hollows now. And I think what the Count is doing is proof of that.
The Count?
I overheard the conversation between your friend, and he mentioned the dead. I figured you heard.
No, I just remember them from last time.
The dead have been attacking. They are not to be trusted anymore. The bells have limited protection now. We all board up at night. And the Count is agitated, and I think that we are seeing the results of that and how the dead are acting. I think centuries of peace are broken.
Let me ask you this. I remember when we were here last time, we went to go up and take a look at those old stones at the top of the hill, and your mayor, Ms. Palmer, was not very happy with us going up there and troubling things. I wonder if she was doing something there or protecting something there that is no longer being done.
Well, so I was not her closest friend. But I think if we've learned anything in these last few days, there's worse than Miss Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
And her chasing you off of the mount is good. The mount being left alone is part of where our peace with the dead has maintained. Now, I don't know if she did things up there that helped maintain that peace. And frankly, it wasn't until the brothers showed, which was 2 days after Palmer died, that we saw the agitation. And the Count fought against the interest of the brothers. So I can imagine he is not happy with their presence.
That leads me to the one other question I had for you, which is, does it seem odd to you that when they came here with their barges full of men, they took Yawin and then all of them left?
If I was in charge of the Rust brothers, I would have left a constable.
Perhaps just a few watchers in some place. He kind of looks up in the direction of where those standing stones are above town, in a spot where you could get a good overview of the town.
There's a night, and it's not tonight, where the Hollows needs to make a decision on whether we allow the Count to continue or we breach the tomb. Because it's only getting worse every night.
Well, I'm not sure how long we're planning to be here, but while we're here, if there's anything we can do, I'll be glad to help where I can.
And that's kind, friend, but there's no expectations. This isn't your business. And he gestures over to something you had not noticed before, Sten. He gestures over below the large butcher block that he has, where after he's obviously done skinning and he's pulled off tendons and, the tenderloins and the rib that's where he butchers, right?
Right.
Under there, you can see luggage.
Mm.
And he says, we're 2 nights away from me heading east.
Seems reasonable. I don't know if you have a specific destination in mind, but if you were thinking about visiting Ember's Peak, you might not want to right now.
Not familiar with Ember's Peak, but
Probably
yeah,
just as
we would head east towards the sea. I can only imagine that there's got to be other towns. The closer we get to the sea, I would imagine civilization would only increase, not decrease. But yeah, any insight you can offer? Have you been east on the river?
A bit, and I will certainly sit down with him and sketch out a rough map of, here's Weatherstone, here's where the first street was, Amber's Peak is down this way.
And he says, and obviously refill my waters in the moat around Weatherstone.
I wouldn't.
It's a great place for a swim.
Yeah.
So let's cut back to Three Skulls. We've got a slowly sobering Aldrich.
Mhm.
We've got Osric, Captain Keep to himself. We've got babysitter Vasilla.
So Aldrich's still on like the final edge of his buzz. Vasilla. I had a great idea. Remember those jaggedy old stones up on top of that hill
Oh yeah.
that old Miss Palmer wouldn't let us go see?
Yeah.
Miss Palmer's not around anymore. And Sten's not around to naysay us either. What do you
Does
say?
feel like good walking.
Right?
Tired.
Finish our little walk from last time.
Best way to get you rid of a hangover is
Right.
a nice little
Fine.
exercise.
Some fresh air. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, this
Osric,
is
you in?
a terrible idea. Oh, this sounds like a terrible idea.
And that's not Jim. That's Osric.
I think it might be both of us.
Well, both.
We've had that perfect moment of assimilation where we're both like, "Oh no, this is what? Why isn't Sten here to help back me up?"
Exactly.
Where did
Peer
he get
pressure.
off to
The
again?
peer pressure's on.
We've lost the adults. Let's go.
Come on, I know you want to know what's up there.
Oh, like Jim wants to know more about this count, but Osric doesn't know any of that.
Oh, you're gonna get flabby just sitting around drinking beer. Come on.
Oh, someone should keep an eye on the two of you. So fine.
So how does Sten feel about goblins?
He's gonna love them. They are great.
I see you. You looking good.
Thank you for the drinks.
And he kind of like he's trying to be like not awkward or anything. He goes and the first round was on Three Skulls.
Oh yeah, we probably owe him some money.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wait, you don't
yeah.
get paid for your help in the kitchen?
Well, Aldrich helped in the kitchen, and that's tell you
I don't know.
what.
What do we owe him before we walk out?
You pay what is fair.
Yeah,
You are friends.
Of course.
How much are we going to reduce our purse with?
I give him a silver.
How much? Okay. That probably covers everything.
I'm trying to figure out what.
And
what
as soon
we
as
think
Vasilla
they're-
slides that silver over, he goes, "You're too generous." So
the
like
string
Aldrich
of
was
them.
in his pockets, Osric was in his pockets. We're like,
"Oh,
oh,
we're good."
okay.
I'm like, so tonight when I come back and perform, drinks are on the house the whole night. Oh, for me,
You're
I'm
welcome.
small.
Hey, you're little one. You are welcome every night.
You're good people.
It was
Keep it
and
up. Keep
down.
up the
That's
hard
good.
work.
Let's get you some
I'll,
money.
I'll say goodbye to his son too. I'm like, bye, son. Bye, Timmy.
He's totally named Timmy now.
Timmy Alm.
It's canon.
All right, so I think we've spent a quarter day. I'm going to put us at lunch.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we're in the second quarter day. We have got the three of you very smartly headed towards the mount. we've got Sten finishing up his conversation, and the three of you notice the change in the gazebo church chapel thing, just as much as Sten noticed. And then you would have to then continue north. Here, let me go ahead and activate so you guys can see what I'm talking
See the
about
map
here.
again.
Yep.
That would be awesome. Not that
I
map.
remember it like it was yesterday.
You'd think I'd remember. It was like 2 seconds ago, but
Whoops. Activated the wrong thing. So you guys, I've got you at the chapel now. And then if you were to head east, it would take you over towards Dead Man's and then the eastern gate. And then you can see the spire up here to your north of where I've got the token right now.
Yep. That's where we're on our way to.
And the hut is on the way. So I don't know if that means we're going to,
are we going to try to pick up Sten?
I don't know.
No, wait, he's going to try to talk us out of it.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily trying to pick up Sten. We're not also, I think, necessarily being stealthy. I think
It
we're just
sounds like
kind
at
of
least some of you
walking.
are trying to be stealthy. It's
I mean,
I want
Stealthy, just
I want a scouting roll from Sten.
scouting, huh? Well, that's not a thing I do at all.
he's in there having coffee and
Talking politics.
Bro
Exactly.
chats with old Vike.
So as the conversations we've been talking about Sten are finishing up, you kind of happen to look out the window and see three familiar faces headed north.
Can I tell that they are like on the path up the hill?
You definitely can tell that they're headed north, and there's not much else
There's the
north.
graveyard, which I figure they won't be going to.
Exactly. So the only thing really north of
Hey, maybe that dwarven gold is still there.
yeah, is the graveyard and then the mount. And every conversation that happened has happened.
Well, I appreciate the update, and like I say, I'll help if I can. I won't take up any more of your day, but we'll be in touch.
Friend, there are layers to this town.
Always.
It's old. Just be careful.
I will definitely do that.
But let's be honest. We don't get to this gray without being careful.
I do have some younger friends that need to learn a few lessons, but we'll see.
And as you pop out of the gamekeeper's hut, you see the backs of the three of your friends.
Hey, Craig, speaking of that graveyard, not that I want to like go exploring in it, but I do
You totally
want
can.
to give it a glance as because it's sort of on the way, right?
Sure.
Just to see if anything seems, I don't know, out of sorts more so than normal.
It
if
is
looks like they're
old
paving over it to-
Charleston graveyard, right? It is overgrown. Every gravestone is worn. Whatever engravings are on the tombstones have almost all been weathered off.
Okay.
And based on your last view of the northeast graveyard, which is just on the other side of the wall from the new graveyard, if you remember, under the large tree, it doesn't appear. Nothing stands out.
Okay, nothing like, blasphemous where they might be saying, oh, well, in order to increase trade, we have to make use of this land and do something horrible and sacrilegious that might agitate the dead or anything. Okay,
No,
making sure.
no, that's a great idea. When you run Forbidden Lands, I like that idea. I wish I took it.
Just making sure.
I built the new general store on ancient.
So you
burial
step out,
grounds.
Sten. You see the three of them
Yeah,
have passed the hut.
I will speed walk over to them, and I'll say, before you go up there,
Oh, hi, Stan.
Hey, Stan.
We're just going for a walk.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Before you go up there, there's a couple things
where?
you need to know. Up the only place this path goes.
All right, fair. Continue.
and he will give them a maybe step away from the flow of traffic a little bit and give them a quick recap of well, we think there may still be some Rust Brothers around. The dead are violently upset lately. I think it may have something to do with the stones up there. Vike says we definitely should not disturb the stones, but I'm wondering if there are some Rust Brothers up there or something. It's getting bad, so be careful and don't screw with the stones.
So real
Look.
quick, Sten, is there mention of the count? Because that was mentioned by Vike several times, but I noticed for very good reasons why Sten didn't follow up on that. So I want to know if there's anything shared about the count.
I mean, my assumption / Sten's assumption is I seem to remember there was like one particularly big, impressive mausoleum off in the distance of the graveyard.
That sounds familiar.
My assumption is that's where the count is, and he's like the leader of the dead. So I may be completely wrong on this,
Mm-hmm.
but that's kind of the basis I'm going on. Basically, I will tell these guys. So there's apparently this count who's the leader of the dead, and he's getting real cranky.
Remind me, there was the fella who had to who the undead fella or dead fella who came and got a drink at the bar. Did we refer to him? Is he the count?
He is not.
Okay,
don't
I
think
just
so. I
I
think he
wanted
was
to
like
make sure that he was
the
not.
previous bar owner.
Yeah,
That's
that,
what
yeah,
Yalin said.
He was the
Yep.
old owner of
Okay.
the Three Skulls.
yeah.
Okay,
Now
I just wanted to
remember,
make sure that he was not.
Yeah,
Also called
the
that.
term "the count" has never been shared before.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that I wasn't.
Yeah. So
Mixing
I
up
would say that and say, whatever you do, let's not piss off the count any more than he already is.
Well, I'm pretty sure alcohol is the thing that's pissing off the count, because if the
Right.
count and his servants are doing anything, they seem to only be attacking the Three Skulls and the Dead Hand.
Well, that's not what.
From what Vike was saying, they've been the bells themselves have only been a little bit of protection in general. That's why everyone's battening down the hatches on their houses. I'll wager.
Well, Olm seems very proud of his new station, but he said that it was only his bars getting attacked.
Well, those may be the only things he cares about.
Well, I mean, he seemed honest enough, and he never really seemed very impressive to me anyway. But if we know anything from the songs, the dead go after those who have wronged them.
Hmm.
Curious that.
Yeah.
The symbol of the Nightwalker has been taken.
Yeah.
I wonder if
were
that's-
taken from the.
Has
When I-
And the
anything
symbol of
shrine-
a raven and
Yeah,
the
the
symbol of the
shrine's
worm.
being cleaned out.
Yeah.
right, and the only thing that's
That
left
won't
is
make
the
him
rust-
happy either. Mhm.
Rust specifically, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
But I think we at least supposed it's possible that the Nightwalker and these Walking Dead of the evening were possibly related.
Could be. I mean,
Sure.
Nightwalker is the boogeyman.
Makes perfect sense.
roughly.
I
So
also feel like we should talk to the midwife again before we do anything too
That's a good point.
dramatic.
And not coincidentally, because it's literally on the map,
Mhm.
her hut is just north of Pike's hut or Vike's hut.
Oh.
So I'm fine with this conversation happening right next to her home, which you knew of because it was
Mhm.
told you that's where she is.
Right.
well,
Does it look occupied again, or does it look like she's still laying low?
I mean, it's what do we say? It's about noon right now, noon, 1 o'clock.
Right.
So you wouldn't expect there to be lights on or anything, but
Sure.
there's nothing indicating.
It's not a closed sign in the window or anything.
No, but to be honest with you, it's a domicile, right? It's not a
Sure.
store.
Sure. Shall we take a minute and knock before we go wandering up the hill?
Yeah, while we're here.
Alright.
Before we do that, and then I forget about it. Craig, I would like to see if I know anything about the Count from the songs and tales from the Essling and my
Yeah.
and all that time I spent with their elders, kind of
Look
learning.
at
Yeah,
you
let's
doing
do-
lore.
Let's do a lore roll. I love that idea.
Because let's see if that kicks anything off my brain. Give me a second. I have to pull it all back up because I had to see the map. There we go.
Not bad.
So the first you'd heard of the Count was when Sten mentioned it. And with one success, it scratches a little itch. And you vaguely remember Tales of Count Nepola. And what you're not able to really piece together is the specifics, but at a general thing, you remember something about a battle with the war against the demons and him being a traitor to the people of Ravensland and him being punished. And the ambiguity not comes from you not remembering. It's just there were tales that you remember and read where Count Nepola was a hero, right, and a protector. And there's tales where he was a traitor, and a Benedict Arnold. There were even tales of him using a tanning bed and starting a social media company to go against Twitter. Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
So the ambiguity comes from Vasila, things branching from that core, right? That him fighting and being part of the battle of 300-400 years ago, right when the mist fell. He was a key general in that battle, but whether he was on the side of the king of Ravensland at the time fighting the demons, whether he was a disciple of Zygofer, who, in some tales is an opposition to the king, in some tales he is the hero of Ravensland. But yeah, the Count as a term rings a bell. You just don't know what that means beyond that. So does that help?
Yeah, it does. I mean, every tale we know about that time is something happened. We don't know who the good guys and bad guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
in this
so
day and
they were
age,
on the
300 years is
side
a
of-
long time.
Yeah.
So that rings a bell. What, if anything, do you share with your comrades? Anything?
Not right this second, not in the middle of the street. But I'm keeping it on the back burner.
Yep.
The other thing that I guess I wanted to know for Vasila is if Vasila knew, did you share, Stan, any of the? Oh my God, I have my Z's mixed up again. The Sturgis is that Sturgis was not a brother, or at least not on the side of the brothers.
I would, when I was recapping the conversation with Mike, I would probably have said, they thought Circus was a harmless brother compared to the ones before, and presumably who's coming next. No, sorry, Zirkus. Sorry, that was the. Sorry, I'm getting him confused too.
Yeah,
We need more
Sturgis.
Z's. We need more hard
Sturgis was
consonants
that.
in
Okay,
Ravensland.
Yeah, exactly.
Sturgis.
Right, exactly. Now, but you're not asking about Sturgis. You're asking about.
I was asking about Sturgis because
Sturgis,
so
okay,
here,
cool.
so here's the outline. I need to know if these facts come together for Vasila or not.
Mm-hmm.
Rust Brothers, real Rust Brothers, bad,
Mhm.
real bad, very bad.
Mhm.
Midwife, good, says Rust Brothers are abomination to the faith, committing
Mhm.
atrocities, and
Mhm.
word that means against religion that my brain refuses to come up with right now.
Heretic.
Blasphemies.
Yes.
And blasphemies. If Sturgis was a false brother, which from the conversation that we overheard you having, like it sounded like that was it not very clearly said, implied strongly.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a false brother, but he was a benign one. He was not a hardcore zealot like the others.
Okay, so we don't know. All right, cool.
Because it sounds like he was the official Rust Brother replacement for the previous guy.
He was.
Right, but we also did you?
But he
and we
didn't really
know,
keep the faith of the Rust Brothers.
Right. He
Keep
was
the
not.
faith is the key piece.
He was not a zealot. Yeah.
That's interesting that you said not a zealot and keep the faith means very different things to not a zealot to me. But just
I mean, he left the shrine intact, for instance.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Did you tell us that Ms. Palmer was doing something to appease the dead?
I don't know that she was, but I would say that that was my suspicion, and Vike at least allowed that it might have been the case.
Okay.
And you would have
So-
shared that.
Yeah, and that's kind of my working theory at this point, is that the Rust Brothers either did something up with the Stones or have stationed some people up with the Stones or whatever, and that's part of what's agitating the Count.
Okay, so I'm going to say then when I remember this, like, oh, the Count. I'm pretty sure the Count's against the demons. We should go be friends.
He may not be in the mood for new friends right now. I mean, I'm not against being on his side, but that's the kind of thing we're going to want to approach carefully, I think. Let's talk to Nervia and get her perspective on this.
It's more talking than you've done in several days, old man. You sure you can do that? You need a
Well, now that I
Glass of
feel
water?
fit again.
Need a lozenge.
You're welcome.
Also,
I walk.
look at all these arrows.
Hey!
He's got like 2 quivers full on his hips.
He's got like D12.
Never again.
That quiver is stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least 4 arrows.
I think it's like the happiest I've ever seen Stan. It's like, but my arrows.
Literally, worst case, he has 12 of them.
No. Worst case, I've got 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
worst
right.
case
True.
4.
D12,
Minimum
D10,
4
D8,
arrows.
D6,
Yeah.
out.
I go and knock on the door. Near
You
the
go,
door.
go knock on her door.
Yeah.
No answer.
Well, Stead is excitingly counting his arrows. I'm like,
You knock, no answer.
He did say something that did not make me think she actually came back.
No, didn't she say doing well?
I'm gonna. Are the windows closed?
They are shuttered.
I'm gonna walk around the hut. Is it only one door?
It is.
Does anybody seem to
Are
be paying
people watching
particular-
us?
Yeah, exactly.
We saw her during the day, right?
We saw it in the morning before we all walked into the.
So there's nobody watching you, but you're not unobserved, right? So no one's like, what are those four doing? But at the same time, unless
They
you go
can
to
see
the
where
no-
you're-
right, if you went to the north, which is the side that's facing the graveyard, so her hut is right just north. She is like literally the last hut before you get to the shrine. There is nothing north of her but the graveyard. So outside of the dead at the north, there's nothing. There's just a window that's shuttered, but there's no door.
Okay.
But if
I'm
you're
going to-
interested in being in a place where no one else is potentially seeing you, then you need to go to the north side of her hut.
Then I'm gonna head to the north side of the hut, and I'm gonna be like, Ulrich, come here.
Oh, yeah. What's up?
Can you
Can
fly?
you open this window for me?
I don't think I have a thing
I
that
could-
works that way.
I could try. Seems not great to break into her house like this.
If you put your fingers on it, Aldrich, it's not like bolted or anything.
As I'm saying, it seems rude to break into her house. I just kind of lift the window or push the window open, however it opens.
No one
Yes,
would do this.
I just
Yeah,
kind of do it.
There's wood shutters, and you like put your fingers on to see if it's locked, and they just kind of And there's like a frosted glass. It's dark inside.
I guess no one's home
I'm going to
unless she's asleep. Maybe she keeps weird hours.
I'm going to so it's frosted, you said, right? Can I jimmy can I get a lift and then see if I can jimmy the window open, or is it like sealed to the edges and frosted glass, or is it like a movable, flippable,
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. So the window can be lifted and propped, right? So the window itself can be open, but the glass, when I say frosted, it's not like cold. It's just the glass in that time. Like
Yeah.
expensive glass is clear, right? But cheaper glass just lets light in. So you can't really
But the
see.
point is, he can't see inside without opening.
Yeah,
Right.
and I would like to see inside, and if I don't know if I can open it, I'll try to open it.
Well,
first.
let's look at the old character sheet. So I'll need a roll if you don't
Okay.
want to damage or make noise.
I do not. So I'm looking at stealth or sleight of hand, maybe.
I'm good either way. I lean towards sleight of hand, though.
All right, sleight of hand is better for me anyway.
Okay.
The typical thieving skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Roll.
Hey.
Where did you go?
So Aldrich kind of boosts you up, and you kind of palm of your hand here, press, see where the give is, palm of the hand there, see where the give is, and stuff. And maybe Aldrich is not sobered up completely, but in the same way you would reach into your pocket for a tool, you just kind of reach into Aldrich's pocket and come out with a small little pike, which Aldrich doesn't even recognize. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know she carried those." And with kind of a tit, 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 it clicks. And the only people that heard it click were the two of you. And you press on the window. And as you press up, it comes inside, right? So it opens inside from the top. There's hinges at the top. You're able to see the small piece of wood that's used to prop it. And you pull that up and you prop it. And it's dark inside. And you can see the front door on the other side. And it is one room. There is obviously where her bed is. There's obviously a second bed that is larger and kept different. And you can see folded linens next to it. You can see a large pot. So if she is truly a midwife, this may be where that happens, right? You see a wall of cabinets with small vials, herbs hung to dry, her laboratory, maybe, or she's an herbalist and all of that. It's been a full night since you've seen her. I think what stands out is the bed is made and undisturbed. And if she slept here, she got up really early and she made that bed and she left. Let's go to credits. All the chatter happening during credits. Theories
God.
jumping all over the place. So I think we got to start there. And I think I'm going to start with you, Dave. So
Yeah.
before we get to stars and wishes.
Yep.
What the hell is going on?
All right. So, like I like I just said, Vasilla is like a crazy alien, ancient alien style guy, hair in the breeze. Everything is the Rust Brothers all the time because they're in league with the demons, and demons clearly evil. So I think what is happening is that Sturkis, since he's actually a nice guy, not a real Rust Brother, probably an undercover Raven sister person, and that's why. Well, Vasil doesn't know that there's the bloody token that she had of Sturkis's, um, but she thinks that they had a conspiracy that they killed the last Rust brother and have been like hiding it and just like placating the dead. And now, like, we should go make friends with the king, the count, because we have Rust brother problems anyway. And more angry giant ghost that wants to murder Rust brother people is good.
All right. So stars. So stars and wishes. This is from the Gauntlet podcast, which I really love this idea. Stars is when we talk about the character, right? So what did the character find as being the highlight of the session? When was what was the, I guess it's the player two, right? Like, what is the highlight reel? So Dave, for you, for Vasilla, what was the star or stars of episode 20?
It's all about those first rolls, right? The heal roll and the virulence roll. Like I was so afraid we were borked, man. I like rolled only 2, and then I'm like, oh, god damn, like this, like I'll roll it, and if he dies, then it's completely my fault. Like I'll, so pretty stoked about that. And then the rest was just like, it's kind of on the wishes side, right? It's like the next story, like we started a new chapter, right? Like getting to the Hollows, like it ends the last chapter, right? And it's kind of the end of Amber's Peak, and then we had like the traveling chapter and like a little bit of like play back to the old guys. Now we're into like the next chapter, next book, which is going to be about the Hollows, right? And so it's all, like we're rebuilding that, like what is going on, what's happening, what's going on. So I'm just into the mystery right now. But I was like real excited. Like I was actually, Dave and Vasil very stoked that Sten as well.
And wishes?
I'm very happy with like it's a neat change of pace to go into a mystery kind of thing, and I feel like it's a mystery that adds to the overall breadth of the story and like what is happening and kind of whatever's happening with these gods. And so these Raven sisters is the first like not the first good people, but like they seem like they're good. So
That's how they get you, Dave. That's
yeah,
how they
really. So
get
Vasilla's automatically like, well,
20 episodes later, Priscilla is a Raven sister.
Yeah, right.
We've joined a cult.
Sure.
Hey man,
All
I
right.
believe in something.
Nate, what the
Oh,
hell's
man.
going on?
Oh man, I mean, I and Aldrich have nearly as many red string pins as Dave over here. I mean, from Aldrich's point of view, Aldrich's kind of torn because of this situation he's put himself in.
How so?
I mean, because he's with Vasilla. He does not trust the Rush brothers at all. Like this is at this point we're very firmly in the Rush brothers bad camp. But like I'm not, and that kind of puts me at odds with like, but all this stuff's working out for Alm. So it's kind of, there's still that thorn. Like Aldrich still is like still in the, yeah, Alm seems like an all right guy. Like he'll take care of the Hollows, but there's that one thorn of, but he's really chummy with these Rust brothers. Like, this whole thing's kind of working out. There's one thorn there. There's a weak point that I feel like Vasilla's gonna have to break through to break Aldrich from this mindset from these handful of free drinks he's gotten his hands on.
All right. So for Nate, the player, what are your wishes for the next episode or the next couple episodes? What are you hoping happens that you figure out, that we understand?
I want to see the goddamn stones. That was even before like Sten had talked about it.
Oh no.
Oh no, the internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
no.
lost
His
Oh.
internet is
Oh.
I
drunk.
had this image of a cut back to the
Oh, he's back.
That was weird. Oh, that
Yeah.
was so
Good
weird.
timing.
But yeah,
You want to check out
that-
the stones?
Yeah, I want to go check out the stones, and there's no better time than a half-drunk Aldrich being like, "Hey, Vasilla, let's go do a thing."
No, that was beautiful.
Especially
That
while
was a
Sten's
beautiful
not here.
moment.
That was a good moment. I'm
It
not
was
gonna lie.
great. So Nate, like meta, like make some calls here, right?
Sure.
Who killed these two people? What's going on with the midwife? What's going on at the mount?
See, I think she had something to do with it. I think she might have killed Sturkis. I think Alm probably didn't directly kill anyone. I don't think he's capable of it, at least not from what I've seen. But I feel like he initiated something, and then Nervia initiated killing Sturkis, and that's kind of caused a whole domino chain that maybe she wasn't even ready for.
So who killed Palmer?
That's still kind of the question. That's the hard one. That's the one
Yeah.
I'm kind of stumped on right now.
Fair. All right, Brian, what the hell's going on?
That is a most excellent question. I like. I feel decent about my theory that the Rust brothers left some people behind and have, been in some way messing with the dead, messing with the stones, doing something that is triggering this. Because it doesn't make any sense that they would come in with a whole bunch of people, grab one dwarf, and leave.
Yeah.
That's totally nonsense. The thing that I really want to figure out is how did they get here so fast? When, was there an agent of theirs in town that's like, all right, we're going to be there on Tuesday, so make sure he's dead by then. Or maybe they do have some kind of magical powers that would do it. I don't know, but that's the piece that really has me scratching my head at this point.
Stars.
Well,
Where were you
I
most
mean,
immersed?
well, obviously getting the getting the critical healing rolls was kind of crucial from a personal standpoint. But honestly, the whole scene in the Three Skulls, because I will say that I was expecting, all right, it's going to be different here, but walking in and seeing Alm behind the bar was an immediate, okay, now I have literally no idea what's happening.
Yep.
Sure.
So that whole scene, as we kind of picked it all up, I love the conversation with Vike, in the tavern where we're both like saying things without saying things. I had a blast with that.
Yep.
And Brian, what are your wishes?
I really hope that I can have a quarter day or two to spend some experience points before we piss anyone else off or have to flee town. I've got like 25 experience points burning a hole in my belt pouch, and it's just like, can I please buy some things?
The Sten training day montage.
Yes, exactly.
The Rocky
Yeah, exactly.
Soviet Union barn.
Pretty much.
All right. Jim, what the hell's going on here?
Oh man, so many things. I'm not quite convinced that Yowen didn't actually still kill Miss Palmer.
Sure.
Just because the Rust
He
brothers
tried
are
to
bad.
hire you.
Exactly. So
Just because he's the obvious suspect doesn't mean he's not the
exactly.
actual killer.
Just
Right.
because just because the Rust brothers are bad doesn't mean that Yowen is good.
Oh, no, that was not good.
But I do agree with Vike that there's not really a good reason for him to have killed Sturkis.
Yeah.
So I don't know who killed Sturkis. At first, I thought it was the midwife, but I'm not convinced that that's
Nervia.
true anymore. This whole count thing is pretty interesting. It's very intriguing. What's going to go on there as
But
we
w-
prepare
so-
ourselves to
And you're
not
being
walk in
vague.
peace.
Like Jim has ideas. What are Jim's ideas?
So I like the idea that they've taken these religious talismans from the town, and these religious talismans were somehow having this calming effect on the dead, and that with some of the notes around the space of the count and curses. So like the count was cursed to meander the streets of this town that he either saved or didn't save, but these relics were sort of keeping them in a sort of peacefully coexisty way, and the rest of us was like, oh, we'll just take those and we'll be back later, or we'll let the undead ravage this town and then we'll deal with them later. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's really compelling, honestly, because it's almost like a defense system has been taken down or turned against the city.
Right.
Now that you put it that way, it's almost like a
Yeah.
sabotage.
Which is a thing that he mentioned at one point, right? Like, we have an army of the undead to save us.
Yeah.
And now they're
Now
sort of
it's-
they're fighting back against themselves.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Who called? I'm going to go back to Brian's thing. Why do 5 or 6, which I think is what was mentioned, why do 5 or 6 Rust Brothers show up who could ride in a boat, show up with a boat and barges,
Right.
and leave in a boat?
Yep. It's real weird.
And also,
And you heard mention that Hagler's house
It's 6
is
days away.
maybe a week away.
Yeah.
For at best.
That's the bad math.
and also they let Yawin sign over to the bar, which just feels
Yeah.
really weird for a guy you're hauling off.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Like,
told him
oh,
the
by the
secret
way,
of his-
here's your
Well,
here's
I'm
your key to the
wondering,
bar.
did they let him sign over the bar?
Yeah, no.
Did they make him sign over the bar?
Yeah.
Is Ulm just saying, no, he totally signed the bar over to me?
Sure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like
Nate believes that. Aldrich doesn't.
Yeah, that's definitely another little thing, right? Like, what's with the boats?
Yeah.
What's with
I
the
mean,
boats?
they have designs, right? And we
Yeah.
know that they're after the relics, right? So, like, a very meta way, right? So that we know they're after the relics. We know this guy fought on a side of the war, and we know that Rust Brothers consort with demons, and we know that the Sisterhood was kind to us when could have easily killed us and taken our powerful stuff, because she can sense magic too, because she's a magic user,
Right.
and so she knew that we had powerful stuff on us, and she helped us, right? And she's like, these guys are blasphemers and they consort with demons, and they showed up with 6 things, and their buddy Olm is just doing great. Like
This is true.
I know that you can roll a 6-sided die, or 1 on a 6-sided die 100 times, but if it rolls 100 6s, 100 ones in a row, it's not the goddamn die. You know what I mean? Like I will take all of your money if you believe that's just random statistics.
All right, so Jim, stars.
Uh,
When were you Osric?
So I want to say my star moment is the 2 insight checks, because like all of us as players were like, oh my god, he's such a liar. Right? Something is definitely wrong here, right? But all of the characters were in this moment of, oh, that seems like that could be okay.
Plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first thing I was going.
Yeah.
And it was
Also,
just this
somebody in
moment
chat,
of-
somebody in chat pointed out that the scepter also gives an artifact die on insight checks.
ironically enough, I
which-
had it.
Yeah, so
Okay,
wrong
never
person was
mind
rolling.
then.
Thanks, chat. Appreciate
He
it.
would have had a D12 on insight.
Chat says, "Oh,
Old
that
Osric.
wound, that missed check. Yeah, here's some salt. Here, you."
So yeah, I didn't want to take yet another one because, like Craig said, right, you can't keep
Yeah.
taking checks over and
Yeah, I
over
agree.
again,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so, and I would have completely forgotten about that artifact die too, but I do think it's
forgot
funny
about it
that
too, to be honest.
that
was
of
right
all
there
of the
for
people
us.
to have it, it would be me who would not really be paying attention to that sort of thing.
So,
Well,
so
we don't
let's
know
go
that
back to your
part.
stars, Jim.
So I think that was my big star moment, was this whole interaction with Ulm and the
insight checks and
where the players were so clearly like he's not on the level, but the characters have this moment of, yeah, he's all right. He's got this great beer, so clearly he's a good guy. And he had that great, roast pork, and the inn is doing well. This is wonderful, right? He was a nice guy when we were here last time, and he's doing well, and that's great.
And
So
he
that
might
was
be an
really cool.
opportunist, right? There's
Yeah.
there's a legitimate
I mean,
no
he
ill
definitely
will.
was an opportunist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
doesn't make you the instigator, right? That doesn't make you the
Exactly.
catalyst.
Right.
That's just like,
But-
oh shit. Like, okay.
Right. And you've got like family. You
so-
don't want to mess with the Rust brothers, right? Like I
But-
get it. Like they're
But like from
"You're
a
in
player
charge now." It's like,
perspective,
"Well,
man, this is a little too
Hell
much.
sus.
And that
Yeah.
was like that. Just that whole dichotomy moment was really cool.
Mhm.
all right. So wishes for Jim. What are you hoping to happen or to figure out or to understand in the next episode or two? What is really, really like scratching right now?
Oh, so I want to know a little bit more about what's going on with this midwife. I think that's an interesting thread because she's like something Vike said around the space of, oh, she's dead too. And I was
He
like,
didn't
well,
say
wait,
that.
she just...
No,
Well,
no,
he
disappeared.
said,
No, he said it was convenient that she was missing when the Rust brothers showed up.
They said it was
which I
good for
agree with.
her.
Yeah,
No, I
that
thought-
she was missing.
no, I thought he said something like
He said it was good she was gone when they
Yep.
arrived.
Yes.
And the other
she
thing
had
I'll-
disappeared, is what he said.
Right. And the other thing
Okay.
I'll emphasize in case I didn't do it enough, he has not seen her since.
Yeah, and so the
Right.
idea that like she was like she came back, but no one's seen her in town.
Yeah. Well, she
is-
said she was going to come back. We don't know if she actually did.
Right.
Just kind
And
of
so that's an interesting thread of, well, wait, did she go back? Did she see these two kids at the front gate and decide that it wasn't worth coming back? That doesn't make sense, right? So what's going on there? So I'd like to know a little more about that. The Count. I'd like to think about what we're gonna do there.
Befriend him.
Obviously,
So
we're gonna give him a stein of beer and hope it works out. Is what's gonna happen, and he's gonna love it, and it's gonna be great. So we'll just be buddies with the undead. Yeah. Part of me also wants us to go to Hagler's house and see if we can find out what's going on with Yawin.
That had crossed my mind. It seems like a terrible idea, but I think once we know a little more about what happened here,
Well, and this is a Jim wish. I'm not
Sure,
entirely
sure.
convinced that it's an Osric wish. But like,
no, we'll totally Shadowrun it. It'll be great.
but like,
plan
is
for
he
the
innocent?
entirety of 4 episodes and then like fuck it up in the first
Right,
second.
exactly.
Shadowrun it,
Is-
you know.
Is Yawin actually innocent? Is Yawin actually guilty? Is he already dead? Is he being held captive against his will? I don't know. But well, so
And
that's
he
really
was-
interesting to me. As
And he was taken,
as a
I think,
thread
3
there.
days ago.
Right.
And we've heard that he's at least 6 or 7 days away from Hagler's house.
So
We
for
don't know what Hagler's
Forsmark-
house is.
Right.
Right. Well, I just know the name Hagler's house, right? I don't know what
Yeah.
it actually is as
Yeah.
an actual place. So that's something that I feel like would be interesting to look at. But I feel like the Count will be a time-consuming thing, which is fine. Not that it's not a good use of time. It's a great use of time. It's just that might be bad for Yawin.
Yeah, I think so. So from the GM perspective, this is a surprisingly poignant moment for the 4 of you. So there's a lot of moral dilemmas in place. A woman who was very good, saved your lives, appears to be MIA.
Mhm.
Yawin, who was the kindest, but you weren't like even Miss Palmer and Sturkis weren't evil to you, right?
Mhm.
But if there's a shred for any of these characters of thinking Yawin is framed, what does that mean? That he's now being hauled off by the Rust brothers. And do these 4 care? Or if they do care, do they care enough? Maybe is a better way to
Yeah.
put it.
Or who do we care about the most?
Yeah.
And how big is it to us? Because there's also this whole, world-saving artifacts thing we've got going on the back burner.
And that's another piece. And now there's a timer in place. You've been told that in the next day or 2, there's an expectation that
that someone will come back.
Rust Brothers are going
Things
to
will
return.
come to a head. Yeah.
Right. So I'm really interested, because I trust you for as players. I'm really interested to see what the characters do. And what's exciting for me as a GM is I can't find any decision on the spectrum that is out of bounds. The four of you going, we've got bigger fucking fish to fry. And
But I
this,
want to fry all the fish, Craig.
right, right. But
That's why I
let's
took level 2 cook.
yeah, but let's be honest though. Like, it wouldn't be out of character for the four of you to go, you know what? What stays in the hollow, what happens in the hollow stays in the hollows. They need to figure their own shit out.
Yeah.
We have got a major thing going on and we need to go. Or is this the key? Is the hollows important to this mission? Right. So it's not A or B, right? So the four of you could say we have a big problem and the hollows might be part of it, especially with what Vasilla remembered about some connection between this count and Zygofer, right? Or are you townies, and not a bad way, which is the people that are good to us, we're going to be good to them. Olm was good to you.
My current thought on that subject is, yes, we have big important stuff that we need to do, but we also really need some place that can be a safe haven. And I think the Hollows can be that if we can keep the Rust Brothers out.
Interesting.
Not a bad
This might be
thought.
the closest thing to a second home base.
Because we don't want to go back to Oakhart.
And
Well,
Amber's
we're-
Peak didn't work out for us.
Exactly. So this may be our best bet.
That makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. All right, guys. You know the whole routine. Like and subscribe. Listen to Steam Power Scoundrels. Listen to Board Game Ascension. Did I get that right?
Ascent of Port.
Ascent of Board Games. Two wonderful podcasts run by Brian and Nate as a contributor to Steam Powered Scoundrels. We've got one more stream coming a week from Saturday. It'll be the second episode of Fear Itself. If you're a horror fan, do not miss this. There's some crazy shit going on. Then we're going to take a break because Dave, Jim, and myself and about 7 or 8 other people are going to go camping for a week, and we're going to play a ton of games and do a ton of role playing, but we'll be back at the end of October into November. Tabletop Talk, the podcast, you know the whole thing. Cheers.
Hey, good night, everybody.
Yep.
Howdy, friends. Thank you for watching. All our content is archived and organized in playlists on the Third Floor Wars YouTube channel. Check it out. And if you could like, follow, subscribe, and even set your notifications to this channel on YouTube and Twitch, we'd appreciate it, and it'll make sure that you catch all of our content. I talk with creators, designers, and experts across the gaming landscape in every episode of our podcast, Tabletop Talk. Open up your favorite podcatcher and search for Tabletop Talk from Third Floor Wars. Support your creators. They make the content you love, and it's your support that makes it happen. If you want to help us, go to Third Floor Wars on patreon.com, and you can help us for as little as $1 a month. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Take care.